Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks. Tracy here, and this is my very first of my crochet-alongs, and I'm going to share something with you that I found on the internet. That's this, and ignore that one for now. We're looking at what is a good size for a picnic blanket. So they are saying if you're dealing in inches, 60 by 60 inch or 1.3 meters to 1.5 meters and up. That's for two people. If there's three of you, like yourself and a child, 50 by 80 inch or 1.3 meters to 2 meters and up. So if you're 4 to 5 people, like a family using it, 60 to 80 inch or 1.5 meters to 2 meters. Now we'll put that in the description box so that you can see it. I'm just going to make it for two people because it's just going to basically be for me and for Gary. So I'm going to make mine 50 inches by 60 inches or 1.3 meters to 1.5 meters and see how we go. So all I'm going to use is some DK cotton yarn. I will bring in some Aran if I find the same size strand, because this is yarn that I bought $2.99 while I was in the US, and it says that it is a 4-weight, but most of the cotton yarns that I have are a DK and they look identical in size, so I shall use them. But unless they're just too much, then if it's too different a size, then I won't. But I'm going to start it with this beautiful turquoise colour, excuse me, my crumbs. Don't know where they appeared from. I'm going to leave a nice big tail, and I'm going to start with a slip knot. I'm using a 4.5mm crochet hook for this because I'm not a really tight crocheter, so I find that DK and a 4.5 works out really well. Now, how I'm going to do this is with a multiple of 2 plus 1. So I don't know if that just basically means crochet an odd number of stitches. And we are going to not worry about the stitch count. We're going to worry about the size. So I'm going to do a chain until I get to 50 inches, which is quite a lot. But I do have my little measurer here. So I'm going to bring out 50 inches and we'll have a little look if that's really enough. I think I'm going to make it larger. So even the next size still says 50 inches. So I'm going to go for 60, which the whole length of this, actually that is pretty big, isn't it? Maybe 50 is okay. Let's try it again. No, 50 is fine. My bottom's not that big, guys. Well, no comment on that. So I'm going to leave that out and I'm going to measure my chain against it once I've done. So this is the boring part, guys. Just making sure that so I've got to count. Not necessarily the stitches, but I have to count 1, 2, 1, 2 in my head. So I won't be able to talk and that will be very boring to watch. So I'm going to pause the video. I'll come back to you when I have 50 inches of an odd number of chains. Okay, so I have done multiples of 2. There's my extra 1, so my odd number. And for the first row, all I'm going to do is a row of UK double crochets or single crochets into those chains. Now I'm not going to worry about going into back bumps, just going to go into the chain as it is because I will probably put some kind of border on this blanket. So yeah, there's no point, is there? If you're not going to see the edge, then we don't really need to make a nice edge, if you know what I mean. So nice and simple, but very, very long way to go with just a simple row of UK doubles or US singles. So I'm from the UK. I kind of was taught UK terms, but obviously I was also taught how to read the US terms as a child, so I know that they're different, but it can be very annoying if I keep mentioning the same over and over again. So if I say that it is a UK double crochet, then you'll know that it is a US single crochet. Okay, so again, this is going to be extremely boring, just watching me go all the way. I've got my yarn stuck around a book, so I was pulling. Be very boring watching me go all the way to the end, just doing these stitches. So I'm going to pause the video then, and I'll come back to you once I get to the end. Okay, so I am almost at the end, and I'm going to just carry on with you for a minute until I get to the end of this chain. A noisy vehicle went by. I think he has a bit of a blowy exhaust by the sounds of it. Okay, nearly there. Thought I had less to go than that. So now we're going to be at the end in the next stitch. We want a nice kind of foundation for our blanket. So I'm going to turn my work, and I'm going to do 2 or 3, I'm going to see how it looks after 2 rows of UK half trebles. Okay, so I'm going to do a chain and cinch that right down, because I don't want that to get confused with a stitch, but I want to make sure that that's ended off of there. And I'm just going to go into the first stitch, yarn over, go into the first stitch, yarn over and pull up the loop. So I have 3 on my hook, yarn over and pull through all of those. And I'm just going to do that in every single stitch along. That way we've got a nice bigger stitch to start our kind of foundation of the blanket, because we need a nice sort of solid end, either end of the blanket, I feel. Anyway, going to go all the way along with this stitch, all the way to the end, nice and simple. I've got a feeling that just 2, having seen it now with my first round, I've got a feeling that 2 will be sufficient. So I'm going to do 2 rounds of this stitch. Okay, so again, as it would be just a tad boring, watching me go all the way to the end, doing this same stitch. Fine for a whip along video, but not necessarily in a tutorial. So I'm going to pause the video then. I'll catch up with you when I get to the very end of this row, before I start my next one. Okay, so I'm almost there, and I feel that once we get past this part, it's going to be easier to see where our end stitch is. It's only because we have that turning chain. And as many of you know, if you watch me regularly, I don't have turning chains. I will make a stack. And on small stitches such as this, I don't do either. I call that chain, I make that chain and cinch it right down, just so that this stitch here doesn't become smaller and the yarn doesn't travel, but I don't feel that these stitches actually need any chain at all. And we'll see when we come to the end of this row that you get the 2 loops to go into. The trick is not to make this loop tight. So I'm going to do another row of this UK half trebles, which are half doubles in the US, but we call them half trebles. I wish we didn't have different names for stitches. It would make life a hell of a lot more simple. But this is a UK half treble, as I said. So if you hear me refer to a half treble in the UK, then you know, if you're working in American terms, that I mean the half double. At least it's quite obvious because I'm using the word half. It kind of makes it a little more obvious. My yarn genie is not spinning well. It was the way that the yarn was spun on the ball, kind of tucked it in the top a little bit. Okay, so looking at this, I'm still in two minds whether to do another row at the end of it. I think I will. So again, it's boring to watch, so I'm going to go all the way along. I will catch up with you when we get to the end of this row, just so you can see how easy it is to find that last stitch. And then we'll do one more, and then we'll change it up a little. Okay, so I'm almost there. And I just wanted to show you how easy it is to find your stitch. There it is, see? 2 loops to get into. It keeps our edge lovely and straight, and none of that bulge of a chain that you often see on the edges. It just keeps it lovely and straight, and you get your 2 loops just the same to go into. Okay, so I've had second thoughts. I'm going to stop there with this colour, so I'm going to end this one. Leave a nice long tail. So many times lately I have gone to work in my end only to find it's not long enough, and that's very annoying. So I'm going to end off, start a new colour rather than change colours by bringing in the next loop. I never feel that looks totally clean, and before I start any more I'm going to work my ends in. So I have a darning needle, and I'm going to do that now. So before I bring my new colour and my new stitch along. Okay, these never thread for me. I see people just do it so easily, and they even get the needle to somehow work for them in making it thin enough to go. I've undone it. What have I done? Put it back. Silly me. I'll put it down. That's my trouble. I always go in the wrong loop. I want to get it so that it's, if I split that, it'll just come down a little. That's it, without undoing. There we go. I did that earlier on a project. It's just weird. But anyway, I'm going to go along here. If you get a smaller, see, that's part of the trouble with my trying to thread it, is I go for a smaller needle, because if you go for a smaller one you can actually get right through the center. If your sewing needle is too big, now I want to pull that, but I don't want it to distort. Yeah, if you go for one that's too big, then you cannot bury it quite so easy. It just makes it a bit more of a mission to threadle it in the first place. So I'm just going to go back and get rid of that one. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video, get rid of that one, and when I come back with you, I'll have a new colour. So just a little bit of a note about the yarn. I'm not concentrating on what brands or type colours, etc. Some of these will be from my shop, Hobby Rocks. Some of them will not. It just, as long as I'm just matching the size of the strands, that's all. These are from my shop, Stylecraft Natural Organic Cottons from Hobby Rocks, and some of these will be ones I bought recently at Hobbycraft, and some of them will be ones that I recently purchased while I was in the range. So as long as these strands match, I will use them, and as long as one's not incredibly rough and the others are not, as long as they match, I will use them. That way I'll get the colours that I like, and I'm not sort of just affiliating there one brand and that's it. I'm going to make sure I just get whichever yarn I want. Okay, so I'm going to bury this tail, I'll come back to you and we'll get on with the next stitch. Okay, so now we have this. I'm going to join my yarn at where I left off, and I'm going to join my next colour, and I'm going to choose this kind of very pale turquoise to go along with it. Now you can choose any colours that you wish. It doesn't have to correspond with my colours. I just wanted to get rid of that little loop that you saw there, and there it is. So yeah, it doesn't have to be my colours at all. You can choose any you want. So the first thing I'm going to do with this colour is do a whole row of UK double crochets. Okay, so my first one, I'm just going to pull on this, and it tightens that end up and stops it from looking a little kind of joined, I guess. Okay, so I'm just going to do one whole row. Whoops, don't need that. Just working over the tail, not wanting it incorporating. So yeah, just nice and simple, one row all the way to the end, which will get us back onto the right side of the work and ready to start the next little bit of pattern. Okay, so I'm going to pause it then, because that's very straightforward and very boring to watch, and I'll catch up with you once I've got to the end of this row with just these UK doubles, US single crochets, and I'll meet you then. Okay, so I'm at my very last stitch, which you can see there. You've got your two loops, a bit hard to see them with the yarn opening up the way it does, but there we are, my last one. And I'm going to turn my work. So now, when I do stitches for this, sometimes obviously the stitch count will work, sometimes it won't work. And if that's the case, if I'm left with one at the end, because my stack stitch is fatter than a normal UK treble crochet or US double crochet, I would just put two in the last stitch. It won't look odd, and the two, you won't really see both sides of this at the same time because it's so wide. So my first stitch then is the UK, well, I'm going to be doing UK trebles on this, so my first one will be the stack. So in the UK we call that a stack double crochet, and in the US a stack single. So I go as if I'm making a simple UK double crochet, exactly the same, and then I go in this post at the side here, just that one, yarn over and pull up the loop, yarn over and pull through both of those. So it's slightly fatter than a normal stitch, so I don't think it really matters too much if I have two at the end. I'm not sure that will happen, but we'll see. So we're going to do the bead stitch. Okay, how do we do that? So we yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, we've got 3 on our hook, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. But we don't stop there. We're going to use this stitch to make a bobble. So we're going to yarn over, go in and pull up a loop. So we're going through the stitch, round it, not through it, round it, and we're going to yarn over, go back in, pull up a loop. That's twice. We're going to do that 3 times and 4 times. We've got all these loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all of those and not chain. Almost made a mistake. We're now going to do a UK treble or US double in this stitch. And that's what we're going to do. It might fan out a little bit, but the next row, don't worry if that happens. It's expected, and the next row will even that out. So we'll show you again. That one is just the same as any other UK treble. And then we're going to go in between them. We're going to go round this stitch with 1, pull it up, 2, pull it up, 3, pull it up, and 4 yarn overs, and then go through all of those. Normally with a bobble we would secure it with a chain, but we're not. We're going to go straight in to our next stitch and make our UK treble. So that's how it was going to look. It's going to look like a bobble, and a treble, a bobble and a treble. Well, it's not a bobble, it's a bead. Okay, that's what they call it. So we're going to try it one more time. I will show you. We're going to do another UK treble. Remember, if I say UK treble, it's a US double. So I'm going to go in and round that stitch and pull up once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. Yarn over, pull through all of those, and a UK treble in the next stitch. And that's what it's going to look like. As I said, don't worry if it does look like it fans out. So we're going to do that all the way to the end. I'll do one more with you in case you're at the slightest bit wary of it. I know some people would have never seen it before. Others, you can just pause it and go straight ahead now. But once, twice, thrice. I don't know what 4 is. So we'll end there, through all of them and into the next stitch with a UK treble crochet. Okay, so I'm going to leave that with you. I will catch up with you once I get to the other end of this picnic blanket. Okay, so I've got to the end, and that one looks a bit odd, doesn't it? I'm going to redo that one. That's weird. Why did that look like that? Maybe I didn't go around enough. Thought I did. Maybe I was rushing. Just a little too much to get to you guys. There we go. So I've got 1 stitch left over. So I'm going to just put another one in there, as I said before. Now there's not many patterns that you will do that are absolutely critical. You get the exact number of stitches. Stitches on the whole are very small, and you know, so many patterns or tutorials will say to you that you have to keep hold of your stitch count. But in reality, there are very few where it's critical. And if you have 1 extra stitch to everybody else, it really makes no difference whatsoever. But anyway, that's what it's looking like. I kind of like this bead stitch. So what I'm going to do now is repeat the last 2 rows, and we're going to do that, and that'll be the end of part 1 of the cowl. So for doing the, so obviously remember we've got 2 stitches here. I will do a chain and cinch this down because it's quite silky, this yarn on this bit. So I want this to make to sort of, you know, for me to absolutely see my stitch count. So I'm going to go in the first 2, which are easy to spot. Now, over these 2 stitches here, it looks like 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, but it's not. It is in fact just 2 stitches because this is 1 stitch and this is another. So we just want 2 in these spaces. So I'm going to ignore that one. I'm going to go straight here, and then I'm going to go in the stitch. So I'm going to ignore that one, go in here. Maybe I should have ignored the other one and done the first one, which was bigger. Then that's the UK treble, and that will help pull this back. So if yours is starting to fan out a little bit because it is a kind of a wider stitch, this is going to pull it back. Okay, so I'm going to ignore that, and I'm going to go in here and then into the UK treble, into the bead, top of the bead, into the treble. So that's what that will look like. It'll bring it together nicely and put the stitch count, if you like, back, or the tension. That's what I should say. It'll bring the tension of the stitches back to where they should be. So I'm going to pause the video then. Well, I'm going to end the video actually, because we're going to go all the way along with the UK double crochets or US singles. Then we're going to repeat this row here and do another row of UK doubles. So it's 1 more bead round row, 1 more bead row, 1 more double row. That's a UK double, remember. So we'll get, the stitch count will be fine when we get to the end of this row. And then when we get to the end of our bead stitch, we'll have 2 at the end, remember. And then we'll do 1 more row, so it will end up looking like this with 2 bead stitch rows. And then that'll be the end of our part 1 of the crochet along. I'll see you guys for part 2. So yeah, good luck with that, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye for now.